Hello there! Time to build some small trees. So, this time, let's keep it simple. First, we're gonna build the tree in steps, so you can see how those are built, and if you happen to find those interesting, then you could order some parts and follow these step-by-step instructions to build a tree of your own. And after those step-by-step instructions, I'm gonna go through how I came up with this tree design. Or rather, where I borrowed some ideas, because this is in a way a combination of 3 different sources. But first, let's start with the step-by-step instructions. Now, I'm gonna build this on 16 by 16 baseplate, but you could add this to any available spot on your build. First, we're gonna start with a tree trunk. I'm using reddish-brown pieces, but you could use pieces of any suitable color. First, we're gonna start with a 2x2 round tile with open stud. And next, we're going to add a 2x2 inverted dish element and 3 candle utensils. Like this. Next, we're gonna add this short bar element. And after that, a round 1x1 with an open stud. And next, we're gonna slide in a 1x1 round brick. And that completes the trunk build. Of course, you could make this shorter or taller with different amount of candle utensils. Next, let's build the core of the tree. You're gonna need a 4-way modified brick, 4 1x1 tiles with clips on top, and 4 1x1 round plates with a bar handle. Now, I am switching to green color here with those, but those are still quite close to the trunk, so they could still be brown if you have brown ones available. Next, attach the green pieces to the clips. Next, attach the clips to the 4-way modified brick so that the studs of the green pieces are facing downwards. Next, repeat the whole sub-assembly. Then place them on top of each other so that the top one is rotated 45 degrees. And now the core of the tree is completed. Next, it is time to move to the top section of the tree. You're gonna need a plant flower stem with 6 stems, a 1x1 round cylinder, and 1x1 cone piece. The flower stem piece is of different color here because I had that available, but you're really not going to see this piece once the tree is finished, so it could be of this color, a green, or a different brown. And then you just stack those pieces on top of another. Next, you're gonna need 6 of these flower petal pieces. I'm using a mixture of green and bright green, but those could easily be of same color. Next, we're gonna add some leaf pieces. Once again, I'm using both green and bright green here. The leaves are added on top of the flower petals. Twist and turn the leaves so that the center is covered. This completes the top piece. And next, we're gonna stack everything on top of each other. Now your tree should look like this. Next, we're gonna need a 4x3 plant leaf and more of those smaller leaves. Add 3 of those 4 leaves to the larger plant leaf element. Then connect that to one of the branches of the top core element. Then turn the branch towards the center and twist the top so that the leaves meet nicely. And add 1 leaf element on top of the green connector piece. Then prepare 3 more of these branch elements. You can vary the position and the color of the smaller leaves. You might need to test fit the branch elements so that the leaves don't clash, but then again there are no large gaps. Once again, add leaf pieces on top of the connector pieces. And finally, we're going to build 4 more branch elements, but this time the 4th leaf elements can go directly on top of these pieces. And finally, attach these branch elements to the bottom sides of the lower core connectors. Then just twist the branches upwards, and now your tree is complete. As before, you might need to vary the exact position of the leaves so that they don't clash with each other, but you end up with a quite full-looking tree. And finally, I decided to decorate the base of this build with elements that I had available. I decided to build a path and add some greenery and flowers around it. Of course, this is totally optional. This has nothing to do with the actual tree build. And that is how I built my trees that are on the town square in front of my town hall. While I could say that that is my own design, I borrowed quite a lot from different places. Now, if you're still interested, I could go through how I ended up with that specific design. At first, I was a bit stuck. I didn't have any real ideas how to build something like that. So I decided to do some searches in rebrickable.com, and I found a couple of suitable trees from BrickAtive. I really like the larger one of those, but I thought that the trunk part was a bit too elaborate. But then again, I thought that the tree trunk in the smaller tree was a bit too skinny. So I knew that I need to come up with some other kind of idea for the tree trunk. I also decided to simplify the leaf section quite a lot, and therefore I ended up with the core section of my tree. For that, I wanted to create more rounded top than what the original had. And that is something that I already knew how to build. I had seen this kind of rounded bushes used in other YouTube channels. For example, Brixie has used something like this in his previous Lego City layouts. Those bushes can be created by using these stem pieces and connecting leaf elements to those with the help of flower petal pieces. Then you just connect those to the top and sides of a 4-way modified brick. You also need to add some height to the build. And once you have added those flower stems to each side, you get something like this. And actually, you could add a tree trunk here and make a smaller rounded tree with this technique also. But that is beside the topic. This is how I got the top section of my tree. I just added the cylinder and the cone piece so that the top section would be in correct height compared to the branches. Now I only need to come up with a trunk design that would suit my needs. I really wanted something thinner than a cylinder, but something thicker than just a rod piece. And while I was assembling my Sanctum Sanctorum set way back, I realized that the tree trunks that came with that set were of perfect size. So I just decided to copy those. The only problem there was that there wasn't a stud on top of those candle utensils. The only way to continue the build upwards from that was to use some sort of a bar element. What I didn't know back then was the fact that these 4-way modified bricks had actually an open stud on top. I initially only had 2-way modified bricks to do some test builds, and those don't have the open stud on top. With those, I had a bit of a problem with the bar element length, and that is the reason why my design uses this rounded plate and this rounded brick there. But those were never actually needed, and I could have used a longer bar element that would have gone through the entire tree core up to the top, and that would have been way more secure. But I never realized any of that while I was building the trees. I only realized that while I was shooting the content for this video. But that is often the case with Lego. You constantly learn something new. During this project, I mostly learned new things from the building instructions of the trees designed by BrickAtive. There are more building ideas in those instructions that I just didn't use. So, perhaps you should consider looking into those instructions. I'll bet that you would still learn a thing or two that you didn't know before. You can find the links to those instructions in the description. But now I think that it's time to wrap this video up. In the next video, we're going to take one more look of the completed town hall. I know that all that has already been covered in the channel, but that has been split into multiple videos. So I think that there is still room for one comprehensive video that covers all the details. You can expect that next video ASAP, but remember, when a Sloth says that, it means as slowly as possible. Bye bye.